What's up, people in Wave FM teammate? We are here with a very good friend of mine. This is a happy moment, happy, joyful moment. Y'all know him, Jecorey Arthur, new councilman for District 4, newly named as of yesterday, y'all. So we are celebrating my man right here. And I don't even want to say that it was a long, heartfelt battle. I just want to say it was a journey for you. That's what I want to say. But how are you feeling right now in this moment? How are you feeling? And congratulations to you. Let's start with that.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, though?
I feel like I learned more in these past 6 months, this past half a year, than I have in all of my 28 years.
Wow.
This has been quite the journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And I'm thankful that we get to sit down with a black face and black media to have this conversation, because the power of black media has been diluted for centuries, and now we're here. You can't hide our voices. You can't try to cover us up. We are being amplified. We loud and we proud. I'm glad that we're here. I mean, not only just black media, literally, and like thinking about figuratively having black media, but these microphones are black media. These are my microphones. You know what I mean? My company owns. You cannot silence us ever again.
I love that.
We are here.
I love that, especially coming off the events of last night when we know that several live casters, independent media, were arrested for constitutional right? Freedom of press, right? So I love you saying that in this moment. I want to take it to Brianna real quick. Just when we look at the campaign, what would you say was the lowest moment of the campaign for you? Or was there a low moment? Or was it all highs? What was the lowest moment? What were some of those challenges that you had as his campaign manager? And salute to you, Queen. Salute to you, Black Queen, for this victory, right? Salute to you.
Our lowest moment came the day before the election ended. We've been talked about, slandered by everyone online, and they just lied and lied. And it really brought my spirit down as someone who's new to this and very young. So that was our lowest moment for sure.
Wow, just the highs and the lows. What was the high moment for you, Jecorey?
That W.
That W.
When we won.
That W.
And what I want people to really understand is that W isn't about me, it's about we. So when I won, we all won. I'm thinking about the collective. So many of our politicians, so many of our leaders, so many of our entertainers are self-focused. They're focused on themselves as an individual. I put the people first always.
Right.
I will go broke. I will live in poverty for the rest of my life if it means that my people have access to wealth, if it means that my people have freedom. And that's what we're all fighting for here. And Brianna has that same mindset. I believe you have that same mindset. So many people have that same mindset, but it's going to take education for us to have liberation. And that's why every opportunity I get, I teach. But as I teach, I learn. And as I learn, I teach. It's a constant cycle of life.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Now, I know last Tuesday, during the elections, the day after, some rough numbers came out, and it had you in the lead. And either one of you all can answer this question. What was your reaction to those rough numbers coming out? How were you feeling at that point when you saw those rough numbers coming out and you were leading and in a big way too? By the way, it was in a big way. What was your reaction to that?
I was just really excited and hopeful that those were going to be reflective of the mail-in votes and everything, but I didn't want to get too excited and hopeful at the same time, but I was.
Right, okay.
It was scary to think about because those were the in-person results. And as we know, we had one polling place in a city with over, 600,000 people in it. And that's not an accurate depiction of how voting went down because so many people voted before. But if you work a 9 to 5, if you ain't got internet access, if you got kids at the crib, but you taking care of them by yourself, you have a lack of access to vote. You have a lack of access to information. What we saw with voting in Kentucky was really information segregation, where we were canvassing in the West and people are asking if they can still go to their regular polling place.
Yeah.
They should have known that. And I don't even blame them. I blame media or lack of media for pressing that issue and making sure everyone had the proper channels to understand what was going on. I blame the system that we exist in now, known as white supremacy, that wants to keep us from voting and keep us from being politically engaged. But I don't blame some of the people because it's hard to care if you're unaware.
Right. Now, again, looking back to election day, and we're going to move forward and we're going to talk about the work that you definitely have to do, okay? But looking back to election day when that happened, at the fairgrounds, I noticed that was a different beast that we've seen in our lifetime, to where you had voting, and voting was celebrated in a different way. I mean, you had free food, you had free drinks, you had black people coming out, just celebrating that moment. Do you think that dynamic should be kept in the voting process, but still have the regular polling stations that open in our regular communities? But did you feel like that was a different aspect that we need to keep in place? Because it did kind of draw the people together, and it kind of made it. We are celebratory people as black people. We celebrate everything. We love to be out amongst each other. So do you think there's a way that dynamic can work? Being at the fairground?
Right. The human race is smarter than it has ever been in history.
Right.
We have access in our pockets, at the tip of our fingers, on our smartphones with us 24/7. And because we have that access, we know so much more. So we're going to do so much more. And voting is starting to become something that people realize is going to change our lives. But not just the voting, because once you put the politician in, that's not even half the battle. You got to hold them accountable. And I've been telling seniors and elders in this area, I live right around the corner from you. So if I'm not doing right by you, you come knock on my door and you say, get yourself together. You can talk to me. You can call me, text me, email me, Facebook me, tweet me, Instagram me, hit me up whenever. I am here to serve you. You pay my salary come January. So I need to make sure that I'm reflecting whatever your needs are. Wow. So yeah, voting we going up. Yeah, we're gonna have an even higher turnout in the future. We have to.
Yeah, and we got to do it in a different way, right? We got to do it and I feel like that was a different way. So, okay, so looking forward, you have been elected councilman in District 4. So tell me, what is your vision for District 4? And what does District 4 look like at the end of your first term? What does District 4 look like?
District 4 is downtown Louisville and the surrounding edge neighborhoods. So Russell, where we are right now, that's a predominantly 90% plus black neighborhood, historical black neighborhood. Portland, California, we got a little bit of old Louisville. Phoenix Hill, Butchertown, New Lou, East Market District, Irish Hill, Meriwether, Fort Hill, Smoketown, Shelby Park, Original Highlands, Paristown Point. We have 16 neighborhoods that touch District 4. Yeah. It's the most diverse, most vibrant.
Including downtown, right?
Exactly, most populated district, but it's also the most poor, the most homeless, the most dangerous, the most starved, and the most segregated. So when I think of those 5 core issues to our district, I also think about the city of Louisville. If you can fix District 4 and address all 5 of those issues, you can fix the city of Louisville. So at the end of the term, and we won't put numbers to it because we need to sit down and set some measurable goals, but I need the city to have more wealth to address our poverty. I need the city to make sure that we take care of the homeless issue, we take care of the housing issues that exist, because so many people are cost burdened when it comes to paying for housing. We need to take care of the crime in our community. We need to take care of the health disparities in our community, from fresh food to not having access to grocery stores like District 4, 30,000 plus people with no full service grocery store. And we need to take care of that segregation piece, which is really just a lack of inclusion. We have the illusion of inclusion, but we do not have true inclusion, because when it was the 1920s, before we hit the Great Depression, you could come to the west end of Louisville and shop and get gifts for your folks. You could sit in restaurants. You could come over here and purchase entertainment and go to live music venues. We are lacking now. So in many cases, we've just gotten worse. We've gone backwards. We've gone in reverse. So we want to address all of those disparities by the end of the term and beyond, because I'm not just here to use District 4 as a stepping stone for a future political position. There is no future political position for me. I didn't even think I would be in this one. I want to address and fix whatever we need to address and fix. And that means if I die in this seat, then I die in the seat. That means if I have to pass it off eventually, then I pass it off eventually. I'm going to be a connector. I'm going to be a protector. I'm going to make sure I'm a collector. And I will not be what so many politicians have been, which is a neglector.
Yeah, let's stay right there for a moment. What things do you plan to do different than your predecessor, Barbara Sexton Smith? What things are you going to do different? And I know they're going to be radical because you're a very different man. But I just want our audience to know now, what's going to make you different than your predecessor?
No specific order, but our communication is going to change drastically. as the most vibrant, populated, diverse district, we need to make sure we're addressing all needs and reaching all people in the district. That means we're going to have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're going to have everything we possibly can, call blast, text blast, to reach people in the district, and not just for votes, because so many politicians that knock on your door and talk to you when they want you to vote, and then you never hear from them again. We're about to get even louder. We are going to make sure that we communicate with every single person in this district. You know who your council person is, your councilman is. You know that you can reach out to your council person at any given time. Communication. Secondly, we're going to be working with Black media. We're going to be working with brothers like Roman Lane. We're going to be working with everyone that we possibly can to do what James Baldwin has talked about, and I have quoted so many times. You cannot fix what you will not face. We are going to put these disparities in front of people's faces to add a sense of urgency to the fact that we need to do something about them. We've just been sitting and Barbara, I love Barbara. She's so bright and so cheery, and she's like a character almost.
Yeah,
like
sure,
a character almost.
All that energy, right?
And some people say I'm a character as well, but I might be a little bit more intense. I live in the poorest neighborhood in the city, bro. 52.7% of the residents in this neighborhood are in poverty. I'm a different animal. People say I got big shoes to fill. I wear size 15. No, I don't. I'm different. And we about to see that in office. Breonna's different. We cut from a different cloth.
Yes. And let me go to you, Breonna. As we see that African-American women are just leading when it comes to America, from politics to education to entrepreneurship. You all are leading when it comes to college. You all are leading when it comes to starting new businesses. You all are leading. What do you feel the African-American woman, especially the African-American woman under the age of 30, what is you all's role in the new America that we're seeing now? What is your role?
I was trying to let them know.
Well, for me in particular, I feel like my role is to lead and follow. You can't be a good leader if you're not a good follower. And so I technically led this campaign, but Jecorey led me as well. And so I will never, as a feminist, as a Black woman, ever disparage a man's role in that position as well. And I'm somebody who dropped out of college. I have no background in politics, and Jecorey trusted me, let me lead, and let me follow him and learn as well from each other. And so now we're here. So I'm just grateful to have such a good leader and to be able to lead him as well.
Wow.
Breonna, 24. Breonna's 24 years old. I'm 28 years old. We have never done this in our life. We had candidates, Gen Xers, 40 plus, and I love Gen X. That's my mama, my dad, like that's Gen X.
Me too, yeah.
But in some cases, T-May, we feel like Gen X failed millennials. They failed Generation Y.
No doubt.
And also the boomers, they failed Gen X.
No doubt.
And it's a cycle of failure. And that failure is being Black and descending from slavery in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Slavery locked us down and policies locked us out. And we have been dealing with that since 1619, since our ancestors came to the shores here. So the fact that we have a 24-year-old Black woman who descends from slavery, a 28-year-old Black man who descends from slavery, who just won a Metro Council seat in one of the most racist, the most segregated cities in the United States of America, a change gonna come.
Sam cooked that shit. That right. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. How is a millennial, 28 years old, right? How you gonna go in there and shake shit up in Metro Council? What is your plan for that? Because there's gonna be some opposition, right? Because you are dealing with majority of boomers that are in there. So those are old ideas. Those are old ways. Those are old policies. And I know you're creative, you're innovative, you're a thinker, and you think not in the now, but in the future. So you're going to bring a lot of new ideas to people who don't want to move to those new ideas because that's not what they're used to. But you know, as a millennial and as a person that works with Generation Z, where we must go. So how do you deal with the relationship that you have to have with your council members? How do you deal with that?
I think the appropriate, or what some people would say appropriate politically correct answer.
Well, we don't have to be Black media. We ain't being politically correct.
It's like something like get with it or get out the way.
Wow.
But I'm going to say run with us or get ran over. if you have opposition to the future of Black Louisville, to the future of poor Louisville, to the future of locked out, segregated out, lack of access, never included Louisville, then you are a part of an issue. And we are going to make sure that your constituents know all about it. I've been getting hit up by all the council members, all smiles and Hallmark cards. But let's see how long that lasts when I put them on blast. You know, I got rap when I be talking. Yeah, so we gotta move. I'm not on Metro Council to make friends. There are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies. There are just permanent interests. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make progress. That's why I'm here.
That's dope. That's dope. So let's keep getting into it, Jecorey. Does Louisville need new leadership when it comes to the mayor of Louisville? Do we need? And I hate to put you on the spot like that. I hate to, but that is a question that everybody has been asking me to ask somebody on Metro Council. And how will that be addressed? Because right now the public opinion from Black Louisville has been that indeed it needs to be, that needs to change. That leadership needs to change. And when we look at things like the LMPD walking out on him, they're not listening to city government right now. When you even look at what's happening with the new police chief, the interim police chief, where they're even walking out and calling sick on him. So our leadership right now is not listening to even those who are in that position to lead. So how do we address that? And is that a signal that we need new leadership? What's your thoughts on that?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, no. Gotcha. And a lot of Black people are not going to like what I'm about to say.
Okay.
But when Mayor Fisher took office, I think I was fresh out of high school.
Gotcha.
I was still in high school. I was about to get out of high school. And over the course of that almost 10 years or 10 years plus, I don't even know how long he's been in office. Ask yourself this question. Has Black Louisville improved or has it gotten worse? Has Louisville as a whole improved or has it gotten worse? When I think of leadership, I ask 3 questions. What do you do? What have you done? What have you built? Answer those questions for Mayor Fisher from your own perspective. If we look at what he has done specifically in the now, short term, and I say, yes, we need new leadership, him not moving fast on the Breonna Taylor case, in some cases trying to cover it up and sweep it under the rug, yes, get him out of here. But he just called me before you got here, and he congratulated me. And I told him, as the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, it is your responsibility in the most racist, most segregated city to advocate for reparations for Black Americans who descend from slavery, a.k.a. ADOS, which we need to talk about as well.
And he has done that, right?
Yeah.
Not to cut
and
in
he's
on
advocating
you.
for it.
He's actually doing that now, right?
And he actually helped penned the resolution from that U.S. Conference of Mayors to push forward on H.R. 40, which needs a whole lot of revisions. And I said, you need to be talking to experts like Dr. Sandy Darity from Duke University, the leading economist. You need to be talking to experts like Antonio Moore and Yvette Carnell. And he said that he's working on it. He's going to make sure they're a part of those conversations. This is real.
But
and
that needs to, and not to cut you off.
And that's long term.
Yeah, but my concern is that needs to be done on a federal level, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
right.
Without
okay,
question.
we just got to make that clear, okay? He's what's, and I guess it's not a question for you to ask, but he's promising you he's going to push that agenda.
It's transactional versus transformational.
Okay.
If he fired the cops tomorrow,
yes,
that doesn't change the fact that we are the poorest, most incarcerated, most homeless, most suspended, expelled, most starved group in this country. Mm-hmm. And I want the officers to get fired and brought to trial. But we were hugging and loving Mayor Fisher months ago when he was in pictures with us, when he was showing up to events, when he was quoting Muhammad Ali, when he was, you know what I mean? And I've been at plenty of music festivals where he came up to me and was like, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Yeah.
You know, we would love them then, but now we all mad at him. Mm-hmm. We all mad at him. The real N word is neglect. And we have been neglected for 401 plus years. If he pushes for reparations, you have to ask yourself. That's not a question for me because I'm just one individual. And we push that to all mayors around the country, that push it to all governors, that push it to our federal government to give us reparations, centuries worth of what we are owed in this country that we built and live on the bottom of. You got to ask yourself, are you going to be happy with that? Are you going to be happy with him as a leader? Because it's transactional versus transformational. We need justice. Absolutely. That justice doesn't stop with police. It doesn't stop with police. It ends with poverty.
I love you. I'm just so excited because you are like I really feel like you're gonna be bring change to Metro Council. I really do feel maybe a future mayor, future governor, future president. You got it all in. How are we looking on time? Because I need to get to the deep ones. 20. Okay, cool. We good. I gotta look at you again, my sister. I gotta look at you again, my queen. Generation Z, right?
Yes.
Generation Z, 23.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely you almost on the cut.
I'm the last.
You're the last. She's on that line. She's on because look, I'm a Gen Xer, but I have a millennial mind frame.
I just say
millennial.
Yeah, yeah, that's what yeah, that is a new term. Yeah, I'm kind of on that cusp. But when I'm looking at you, I'm seeing Generation Z, the next generation up. What are you all's demands right now? What are you all demanding right now?
I'm demanding real freedom. I think slavery has just evolved and just changed into where we are now. That's all I want, because with real freedom comes power, and through freedom we can get anything we need. And right now we just need money at this point. I think financial freedom is literally the only hope for Black people who descend from slavery, and that's my demand.
Wow.
And I want to bust some myths real quick, which I'm glad to share some links and talk about in the future. There are so many myths about Black wealth and Black power, and I hear so many Black people saying, we got to do it on our own. We can't depend on nobody else, blah, 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 blah. America wasn't built on its own. What are you talking about? Reparations is not a handout. It's a debt. This country stole land and then stole bodies. I wish I had the paper in front of me now. There's a long list of Jim Crow laws that were put into play in this state of Kentucky in 1866, post-slavery. And those laws, like I said, slavery locked us down, Jim Crow locked us out. They are still relevant today. Everything from education to healthcare to the workforce to housing and beyond. They are still impacting us today. We are at the bottom of the social, political, and economical totem pole. And it is about money. People say a check ain't gonna fix it. Well, tell that to somebody who's struggling to pay bills. Tell that to somebody who can't afford to go to school. Tell that to someone who can't afford to put food in the refrigerator, or who has to decide between paying that light bill and getting food for the refrigerator. We are living in despair. We are in a third world living conditions in a country that we built that's the most richest and powerful country in the world. And we built it, and we still struggling to this day. And our issue is we trying to fight everybody else's battles. I was called xenophobic. I was called homophobic. I've been called divisive. I've been called stupid, ignorant. I've been called nigger over the past 6 months, over and over and over, because I advocate for ADOS and a Black agenda. Not everybody needs the same. When I'm in the classroom, I'm focusing on the students who need the most work, who need the most attention. If we dangling off a cliff, you hanging off half of it, and I'm right at the top on the edge, you don't hand us the same length rope. That's not how this works. People want to just all lives matter our situation, and we want to focus on everybody else but ourselves. ADOS is a self-interested group. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So everybody who was talking crazy, including a Black candidate, Robert Bell, and all of his friends, y'all got to live with that. You got to live with the fact you got to live with the fact you on the wrong side of history. You on the wrong side of history. Our district is 73% Black. So all the white institutions that didn't endorse me, that endorsed somebody else because I was talking about a Black agenda and reparations, you got to live with that now. You got to live with that. You basically spit on Breonna Taylor's grave. You spit on George Floyd's grave because I talked about a Black agenda before it was cool, before it was in. And now look what you're dealing with. The DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, who got in this race and ran my name through the mud, you got to live with that. It's a predominantly white institution. You had no place in this race. Y'all represent the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. I'm a different DSA. I'm a descendant of slavery in America. That's my reality. So and that's covert racism at its finest. How I got white people talking to me about hating immigrants, talking to me about gentrifying my community. Y'all don't know me. Clearly, we got work to do. And like I said, you can run with us or get ran over.
So stay right there. Let's talk about equity over equality. Let's talk about, because I know that's a big conversation piece. Can you explain that and what it means to Black America?
You know what? I hate that meme with the boxes. I hate that meme. And when I was at Louisville Public Media, we had a diversity, equity, and inclusion session where we sat down and talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And they put that meme up. And there was some really insightful conversation that happened. But the meme with the boxes has people watching. It was a baseball game or something. There's a fence. People can't see over the fence. They got different boxes. They say this is the reality. Here's equality, where everybody got the same level boxes. Then they say equity is when people got different level boxes so that they can see. And then I think one says freedom, where the fence is gone. What people don't realize about that meme is not that some people got more boxes or less boxes. It's that we used to be the boxes. The slave's body, our ancestors' bodies, were worth more than everything else in this country. The banks, the railroads, the trains, all of the other industries. The slave industry powered the United States of America.
Especially in the South.
Especially in the South. But the North was complacent as well. Absolutely. What did Malcolm X say? As long as you south of the Canadian border, you in the South. You know, when our ancestors got to Louisville, they didn't stop. They kept going. Right. And even when they got to southern Indiana, they would get captured and sold back over here. Mm-hmm. Louisville was a slave port, and people forget that. I'm never going to let you forget it. I'm never going to let you forget that we built this city, that we built this country. I'm never going to let you forget that you owe a debt. Ever. It's my responsibility, because I wouldn't be here if the ancestors before me didn't do it.
Wow. So as we're in this moment of protesting justice for Breonna Taylor, there seems to be what I'll call a demon that is amongst us called the LMPD. Councilman Jecorey, Arthur, how will you deal with LMPD? What kind of relationship will you have with the LMPD? Or will you have a relationship? Is it important to have a relationship with the LMPD in your position? How will you deal with that beast, with that monster? And I'll add to this, does LMPD need to take the same direction that happened in Camden, New Jersey, where it was just totally destroyed and rebuilt? The mayor went in and she just fired every police officer and just hired the good ones back, and the bad ones got left out. Does it need to be destroyed and rebuilt? What's your opinion on that?
LMPD used to be LPD, the Louisville Police Department. It was founded in the 1820s to maintain, regulate, and patrol the slave population. 2 centuries later, they're killing Breonna Taylor. They're killing Tyler Girth. They're killing David Yahya McAtee. They're killing us. They're doing exactly what they did 2 centuries ago for the same reason they were created. And when I sit down with LMPD, because I have to work with them as the headquarters is in this district. That's the power district. This district is crazy powerful. Their headquarters is in our district, and we have the most crime concentrated in this district. So I'm going to sit down with them and tell them that truth and say, how can we trust you when that's why you were created? That's why you exist, and you're still doing that today. We got 1,157 LMPD officers. Over 1,100 officers, 12 live in the West End. And that don't mean they black, that just mean they live in the West End. That's problematic. That's less than 1% of officers to represent our community. It make no sense. Yeah, it make no sense. So I'm going to let it be known, you are not trusted. Your institution can never be trusted as long as that's your truth. But I'm also going to say, as people shout, defund the police, blah, 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 okay, let's divest. But if we're going to invest, it needs to go to black communities because they get paid OT. They get paid all sorts, thousands upon thousands of dollars to terrorize us. So you need to pay us. You need to pay up for that if we're going to divest from them. Don't just say distressed communities.
Wow. Powerful. Are we there? Oh, we got so much more to talk about because you're an educator as well. So I want to talk about the education piece, but I guess we'll pick that up at a later time, at a later date. So this is part 2, y'all. We got to have part 3 because we got to add that educational component in there and talk about that because we know that the way our students are being taught in school is going to be restructured. And we need to know how Black history being taught in school needs to be taught and who needs to teach it. And I know you got a plan for that, but I want to hear your, just real quick, can we hear that? I can't leave that out. We got to hear that from you just real quick because I know there's a new plan that's being rolled out even within JCPS about about Black history and how it's going to be taught to kids. What's your thoughts on that? Because we got to deal with education real quick before we wrap up.
Facts, because they're going to be the council people in the future.
No
they're
doubt.
They're going to be the mayors,
No
and the
doubt.
governors, and the doctors, and the lawyers of the future. I'll say this real quick. We are working on a number of plans to teach students, to teach student teachers, and to teach teachers. So from the bottom up, all around JCPS and education across the state, and hopefully across the country eventually, is going to have a complete overhaul, a complete redo, a reset button that's going to be pressed so that we are a part of that curriculum. 7% of American history touches Black history. And we are American history. Yes. So we gotta address that. But it's going to be from the students to the student teachers who are trying to be teachers to the teachers who are already in school. And we gotta have a part 3, because I left JCPS for very specific reasons related to race. And every teacher who tried to discredit me and demonize me as a Black man who was more successful than them and they had been in the career for 30 plus years.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, I always like to end on the fun question. This is the last one. What's the first thing Mom said when she found out you won? First thing she said.
She's the first person who told me.
Oh, look at it. Look at God. Look at
She's the first person who told me.
Wow.
Mama.
Mama.
Yeah, I love my mama. Shout out to my mama.
Yeah.
Shout out to my granny. Shout out to my auntie, my brothers and sisters, everybody who's been a part of this journey, especially Brianna.
Brianna, thank you, Queen. I'm looking from great things coming from you, okay? Great things.
Thank you.
And Jecorey, I'm so proud of you as a friend, as a mentor to my kids, the young prodigies that you've been. And I'm looking for great things coming from you. Thank you so much. People, this is Councilman District 4, Jecorey Arthur. Greatness is present right now. Greatness. Talk to y'all later. Thank you, Roman Lane. Thank you, team. We out.